Cyberpsychosis, in its most simple definition, is when a person overwhelms their nervous system by installing more cybernetics than they can handle. This often leads to things like paranoia, hallucinations, and violent behavior. Now, that's the simple definition, but there's actually more to it than that. See, the term cyberpsychosis doesn't refer to one specific psychological disorder, but it's actually an umbrella term referring to all the different psychological disorders that someone can get from overusing cybernetics. Because of this, there's a wide variety of symptoms that somebody can experience. Hallucinations, paranoia, depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, the shakes, memory loss, hearing voices, violent impulses. There's just a very long list of symptoms covered under this one diagnosis. Now, the more cyberware you have installed, the higher the likelihood of you going cyberpsychotic. But everyone has a different tolerance that determines how much they can handle before they reach that point. In the cyberpunk tabletop game, there was a stat called humanity, and that's what determined how much cybernetics you can handle. Now, if you have a job that's particularly dangerous, you're going to want as much cyberware as you can get to increase your chances of survival. Because of that, it's pretty common for a cyberpsycho to be a former military member, gang member, or mercenary. Because of this, cyberpsycho incidents can get really nasty. You're not just dealing with someone who has combat experience, but they also have the ability to like double jump, crush concrete with their hands, turn their arm into a grenade launcher. It could get real nasty. But it's not exclusive to people who had combat roles. We've seen examples of people who have like manual labor jobs getting a lot of cybernetics to do their jobs better. And also, if someone has a really low tolerance, it might not take that much to push them over the edge to begin with. Also, traumatic events or pre-existing conditions can speed up or worsen the effects of cyberpsychosis. Are you ready for the conspiracy part of the video? Some people don't think that cyberpsychosis is solely about your cybernetics. There's a data shard you can find in the game titled The Truth About Cyberpsychosis. The author of it claims that they work for the Zetatech Cybernetics research team. This person claims that through their research, they discovered that while cybernetics do alter your brain chemistry, cybernetics might make you more susceptible to cyberpsychosis, but it's not the thing that actually makes you lose your mind. They argue that the world of cyberpunk has become so terrifying and miserable and alienating that people have been developing these issues, and the cybernetics are just making them more vulnerable to snapping, and that begins to make people lose their sense of humanity. They even argue that while we might use cyberpsychosis to specifically define the person that's standing in the middle of the sidewalk dual-wielding chainsaw arms, that cyberpsychosis is actually much more common than we think it is, and that the term shouldn't just be applied to people who actually go violently insane, but also to people who suffer in silence because of it. They don't provide any evidence besides their word for it. You could discount it as the ramblings of a conspiracy theorist, but considering that in the cyberpunk tabletop game, humanity was the stat that measured how much cybernetics you can handle. And if that's true, the corporations don't really benefit from telling the public about this, because a lot of them are profiting off of this misery that's causing it. So I think it's a bit of both, partly your ability to stay in touch with humanity, and also your nervous system getting overwhelmed. There's also a theory that the corporations are intentionally making people go cyberpsycho to prevent anyone from becoming a problem. I don't really believe that one personally. As more installments come out in the cyberpunk franchise, we'll probably learn more, but let me know what you think.